Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Lazoen, and I'm the English professor that is known for looking like a little kid when he finally decides to dress up. Today, we will be studying Hamlet, a literary masterpiece that is so amazing you'll feel the incessant need to put a sticky note wherever it starts in your book. This masterpiece was given to us by the wonderful William Shakespeare, the mysterious playwright that fills our high school lives. Lucky for us, Mr. Shakespeare always takes extra care in making sure that high school students all around the world will have a multitude of literary things to comment on. You're welcome. The protagonist of one of his most famous plays, Hamlet, is an overly eccentric yet relatable character. Being a Shakespearean character, Hamlet has quite a talent and propensity for words, which allows the reader or the viewer to gain quite an insight into his mind. Our entrance into Hamlet's mind allows us an up-close and personal view of his deteriorating mental stability, which can be seen through things such as his reverence of the elder Hamlet, his contemplation of suicide, as well as his overall psychological change throughout the play. Without further ado, let's meet the characters that will help us analyze this bad boy. That woman. I'll get her. Ooh. 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 Boo! Hi guys, I'm Horatio. You know, only main character that survived Hamlet, but no big deal, no big deal. Hi, I'm Queen Gertrude. Don't tell him, but I'm really worried about my son Hamlet. I guess you'll kind of find that out later in the play, though. Hey there, I'm Polonius. I may not look like it, but I'm actually quite an interesting guy. You know, just the other day Okay, now that we know the cast, let's get the ball rolling. Wait. Where's the ball? You know death is common, right? I know that, Mom. If it be, why seems it so particular with thee? Seems, madam, nay it is. I know not seems. 'Tis not alone my inky cloak, good mother, nor customary suits of solemn black, nor windy suspiration of forced breath. No, nor the fruitful river in the eye, nor the dejected haver of the visage, together, with all forms, moods, and shapes of grief that can denote me truly. These indeed seem, for there are actions that a man might play, but I have that within which passeth show, these but the trappings and the suits of woe. See, this is important. I am desperately trying to get my mother to understand me here. I am attempting to express my grief, but she won't let me, all because death is common. My father just died. What I'm feeling here is not simple teen angst. I am trying to tell her that this is not all an act. I'm not an actor. It's not like I'm the protagonist of some Shakespearean play or anything. And even though my mother is not my favorite person at this point, she's still my mother. What child does not want to have a relationship with their mother, especially after their other parent just died? And yes, it's true that I'm still mad at her for marrying that jerk Claudius, but I haven't lost all my love and respect for her yet, as you can see from the last line of our conversation. I shall in my best obey you, madam. In that line and throughout our conversation, I talk to her with respect and make sure I'm not out of line. This was a plea for her to reach out to me. It seems as if I'm hoping that she'll choose to be my mother over Claudius's wife. However, despite my efforts, she wasn't picking up what I was putting down. Oh! That this too sullied flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh God! God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seems to me all the uses of this world. Whoa, let's hold on a second here, okay? Do we take this seriously? I just said that I want to disappear and slaughter myself. I don't know if the me at this point is really ready to do something like that. It is true that the death of my father has been affecting me greatly, but am I really ready to make the ultimate sacrifice because of it? No, that's the point. I'm not. At least not yet. The me in this scene only has words. I don't yet have the courage nor the preparation it would take to take such a drastic action, let alone any action at all. So no worries. I don't do anything crazy here. All that stuff is saved for later. These words mainly show how much I love my father and how much his death really affected me. This effect on me will be more important later in the play, and we'll see why. But for now, there's someone that's just been on my mind that I want to talk about. My mother. Man, she's aggravating. I mean, seriously, within a month. Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A beast that once discoursed for reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Look at this! An analogy! I can analyze that. Quite amazing how I view Claudius compared to my father, isn't it? But no more like my father than I to Hercules. Hercules, the legendary Greek hero, son of Zeus! Compared to him, I'm a mere pubescent 30-year-old. Hercules lifts a boulder where I lift a pebble. But the point here is, that's how I view my father and my uncle. My father being Hercules, and my uncle being me. I don't know what you 12 AP Lit scholars would call this, but according to my favorite programs of Law and Order and CSI, this is something that they would say factors into a modus operandi. Take into account this scene as well from Act 3, Scene 4. Look here, upon this picture, and on this the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See the grace seated on his brow, Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, and I Mars to threaten and command, a station like the herald Mercury, new lightened on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination in form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal, to give the world assurance of a man, this was your husband. In other words, my dad's awesome. He has the hair of Hyperion, the sun god. He is a man that has every god's approval. The ability to threaten and command like the god Mars, a body like Mercury. The list goes on. This shows you just how much I revered and respected my father. Now you might be like, well, what's so special about that? Yes, it's true that it's common to have respect for your father. I mean, it's probably something that is expected, but my language here goes beyond mere respect. My diction here does not sound like the diction that a son would use when talking of his father. It sounds more like a worshiper or a follower. It sounds as if someone is speaking of their king, or possibly even their god. And this may very well be how everyone else speaks of the elder Hamlet, because he is a king to them. Nonetheless, he was a father to me. This glorified view of my father ended up serving as the catalyst of my resolve to obtain revenge against Claudius. Speaking of Claudius, let's see what I have to say about him. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother. Now that doesn't sound like a good thing to say about someone. Man, you know, if I was in a rap battle with Claudius, I feel like I'd win hands down. I mean, calling someone a mildewed ear? Who thinks of that? There's not many insults that can top that. The best part about it is, that's how I actually view Claudius. You can see quite the contrast between the way I view the two. A combination of my love for my father and my hatred for Claudius is what makes for such a strong drive to obtain revenge later in the play. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Ha! Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment steps from this to this? Man, that's quite some backtalk I got there. That's like soap in the mouth, 5-hour spanking backtalk. Let's see what we can make of it. Well, I would have to say, first and foremost, my choice of words during this scene shows how much my opinion of my mother has disintegrated. It's evident in the very way I speak to her. In the first scene we looked at, I still spoke to her with respect, and I respected her orders at the end of our conversation. Now I speak to her as if she is nothing more than an animal. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Ha! BTW. Batten means to grow fat. This exchange, more like a one-side bashing on my part, shows that any hope for a relationship with my mother that may have been there in the beginning has gone out the window. She does not deserve the title mother anymore in my mind. As you can see, the Hamlet that confronts his mother in this scene is very different than the Hamlet in the first scene. In order to try and understand this transformation even a little bit, we must travel back to Act 1, Scene 4. It will not speak. Then I will follow it. Don't go, my lord. Why? What should be the fear? I do not set my life at a pin's fee. Here I nonchalantly state how I put no value on my life. This just emphasizes the emptiness and the lack of meaning I feel in my life after my dad is gone. What if it tempt you towards the flood, my lord? Or to the dreadful summit of the cliff that beetles over his base into the sea, and there assume some other horrible form that might deprive your sovereignty of reason and draw you into madness? Think of it. The very place puts toys of desperation, without more motive, into every brain, that looks so many fathoms to the sea, and hears it roar beneath. The motive of life and death once again shows up here in Horatio's warning. It is quite abrupt on Horatio's part, because up until now he was all for me meeting the ghost, and all of a sudden he's telling me not to go. This is a red flag that I did see, but chose to ignore. The reason this is significant is because Horatio is the one saying it. Of the characters still alive, Horatio is probably the closest to me. Because of that closeness, he is able to see my weakness and my vulnerability. Horatio is second-guessing his eagerness for me to see the ghost because he does not know what to expect. This ghost could end up being Casper, the friendly ghost, or it could be Stinky, Stretch, and Fatso all balled up into one. If this ghost ends up being the latter, and is able to manipulate anyone, what will it do to me, someone who already has a very weak mental state? That is the question. The question that is answered later on in the play. It waves me still. Go on, I'll follow thee. Be ruled, you shall not go. My fate cries out, and makes each petty artery in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still I am called. Unhand me, gentlemen. By heaven, I'll make a ghost of him that lets me. I say away! Go on, I'll follow thee. This could very much be the beginning of what one may call my downfall. I may have not embarked on my vendetta just yet, but my resolve is practically made in this scene. After Horatio's warning, I still decide to go after the ghost. And even after further physical objection from both Marcellus and Horatio, I repeat the same line once more. Go on, I'll follow thee. This is where my fate changes, and I start heading down the path of destruction. The repetition of my declaration to follow the ghost shows the importance of this moment. The moment where I decide to embark on a path that I know is irrational and dangerous. Another thing to point out in this scene is that my mannerisms are becoming more eccentric and angry as we progress, noticeably rising even in this scene alone. That being said, I still don't have the guts to take any action. I threaten harm to Marcellus and Horatio, but I don't follow through with it. Let's keep following my mental progression by joining the pity party that is Act 2, Scene 2. That player, how amazing he is at acting out his emotions. If he were to have my passion, what would he do with it? Yet I, a dull and muddy-mettled rascal, peak, like John o' Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, can say nothing. No, not for a king. This is the point where usually someone will come and comfort the protagonist, right? Wrong. I remember the end of my life very well. And I know that I felt like there was no one I could fully trust. Not only that, no one was ever willing to extend a helping hand out to me. Just what does this end up leading to? Self-wallowing 101. A required course at 50 universities. Not only am I not taking action, but I'm criticizing my own inability to act. This is important because this self-bashing illuminates my solidarity and my negative opinion of myself. This lack of self-worth and human relations just leads to a very weak mental state that has no support. Because of this, I finally gained the resolve to enact the first step to obtaining my revenge. The play's the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. To be or not to be? That is the question. It's just so deep and meaningful and beautiful. I can see why those are my most famous lines ever. Those simple 10 words, the most famous words I ever uttered during the whole play. Words that define not just the conflict within me, but the conflict with various other characters in Hamlet as well. For example, when Ophelia eventually has to deal with the loss of her dad, spoiler alert, she faces the same dilemma. Given she is quite unstable, almost insane you could say, when she does die, but she still makes the decision of not to be rather than to be. One could say I am very similar in making the same decision. Even though I don't directly kill myself, one might say that I knew I was walking into my death. Even though me and Ophelia follow different paths, we both end up with the same fate. It's sad, really. Me and Ophelia could have had a wonderful life together. Okay, sorry about that. My allergies just acted up a little bit. Yes, ghosts still get allergies. We finally circled back to Act 3, Scene 4 in the Queen's Closet. Why don't we watch the scene where I reach the point of no return? How now, a rat? Dead for a ducat, dead!
Oh, I have been slain.
Oh me, what hast thou done? A bloody deed. Almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry his brother. As kill a king? This is an important part in the outcome of the play, and shows just how mentally gone I am. Remember earlier when I threatened Horatio and Marcellus? Well, this time was different. No warning, no hesitation at all. I made my first move in the biggest way possible. I actually killed someone. Still can't believe I did that. And it's the first time I directly accused my mother of killing my father. This is my move from thought to action. The transition from mental to physical. This is a crucial part of the plot because it's the first time I declare war, so to say, against Claudius, my mother, and all who oppose me. However, the last and probably most important part of this scene comes later after I discover that it is actually Polonius behind the Eros. That's curtain for you hipsters nowadays. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy in some danger. Leave wringing your hands. Peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall. If it be made of penetrable stuff, if damned custom have not brazed it so, that it be proof and bulwark against sense. I feel like I have to apologize after that. How could I show so much composure after killing someone? And also, despite all the mocking that I had subjected Polonius to while he was alive, in light of his death, I had nothing to say but these horrible insults. It's as if I felt nothing after taking his life. All of that contemplation about life and death, to be or not to be, none of that sense, none of that thinking was there. This shows that at this point, my emotions are ruling over me, not the other way around. Polonius isn't enough to satisfy my anger. I move on to confront the one I came there to talk with in the first place, my mother. My forcefulness and harsh tone puts her below me. I'm able to raise myself to a position of power over her. I utilize this position of power to insult her as well as question her. You can see that there is a little bit of a curiosity from my standpoint in wondering why she has done all that she has done. However, that leaves one to wonder if I would really listen to a word she had to say. My newly irrational disposition shows how extremely my mentality has transformed between Act 1 and Act 3. Top that, Optimus Prime. Well, I had a jolly good time today. I sure enjoyed looking back on my life with you all. It's quite weird, actually, looking back on your life and analyzing the decisions you made. I guess you could compare it to looking back on an argument or a conversation and thinking to yourself, dang it, I should have done that instead. Only a little bit more extreme. I used to be a normal Danish prince, till my uncle and my mother ruined it. Sadness, anger, hopelessness, love, all things I felt, from my father's end until mine. Perhaps, if I had forgotten about revenge and just continued the self-deprecation, someone would have eventually came and saved me, and this whole tragedy could have been avoided. Nonetheless, it is undeniably true that my mental state was very unstable, and I could not fix it myself. I would have needed help. Help that was just not there. I hope the last part of my life at least provided an enjoyable experience for you pubescent high schoolers. And always remember, YOLO. And this too. This is pretty important. I am dead. Thou livest. Report me and my cause aright to the unsatisfied. Oh gosh, 12 AP students. What a wounded name. Things standing thus unknown will live behind me. If thou didst ever hold me in thy heart, absent thee from felicity for a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. And now, I die. My fate cries out, and makes each pity or tear in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. What the heck is a Nemean lion? Seriously, come on. Another thing to notice is my mannerisms are becoming more angry and eccentric. Noticeably. How now? A rat? Dead for a ducat, dead. Why do I make sound effects? If it be made of penetrable stuff, if damn custom have not braised it so, something, and then. Gosh!